All right.
Thank you so much. And just to echo what people have said already, it's so lovely to be with humans and see you all. So thank you so much. DFN Project SEARCH. And I guess I'm going to spend 20 minutes talking a bit about what is it we do, how do we measure it, and why do we think more people ought to be doing it. So we are an organisation which is a business-led transition to employment supported internship program. It is for people who are in their last year of education. It is for those who have moderate to more complex learning disabilities or autism spectrum conditions or both. And we, as DFN Project SEARCH, we make up part of that partnership. And our job, what we contribute to that, is we provide a model, we provide all of the infrastructure in terms of the resources, the training, the quality assurance. We take the data, we measure the data, we feed that back. But we bring a whole load of partners on board, and I'll talk you through what that looks like. Our goal is that everybody with a learning disability or autism spectrum condition has a fair and equal chance to a career job, a long-term career job. We have decided as an organisation we want to support at least 10,000 young adults with learning disabilities or autism spectrum conditions into full-time jobs by 2030 and 20,000 by 2035. We'd love to say it's going to be more, but we needed to set an ambitious goal. And what we want to do, the vision is to close that gap, right? There's this huge gap, and I'm going to share with you what it is in the UK. It's not right, and we absolutely know it can change. Over the last 5 years, and a load of the data I'm going to share with you is kind of 4 or 5 years worth of data. 1,800 young adults have been through our program and have secured full-time paid jobs. It works. It totally works. So our model is made up of a load of critical success factors that make up this model fidelity, but I'm just going to share with you the kind of top 6. Number 1, and this is what we focus on for every young adult who goes through our program every single year, and to give you the context, right now we've got 630 young adults on program. By September we'll have over 1,000. We need to get that to more, and we can do that together. So the number 1 is that everybody is focusing on getting a job, and it's not just getting a job, it's getting a job that is full-time. Our government in the UK define that as 16 hours a week or more. We totally don't. You know, we're looking for full-time. It's in an integrated setting. We don't ever want to see organisations that say, okay, people with learning disabilities, you go work over there. People without a learning disability, no. We know there's such a richness in bringing a real sort of diverse population together. That's what makes an incredible business. We want to make sure that people are paid at least the prevailing wage. And we want to make sure it's non-seasonal. And really what we mean when we say non-seasonal is they get the same contract as everybody else. We don't give people with a learning disability a different type of contract. So it's not non-seasonal full stop. It's to make sure that it's equitable. The second one is that we make sure that this program is absolutely focused on those that need it most. If you could already get a job, you don't need to do DFN Project SEARCH Supported Internship. You may need an adjusted apprenticeship or a traineeship. This is for those that need that fully immersive, full academic year of training with trained job coaches and tutors. We make sure that this is a collaboration. As I said before, DFN Project SEARCH, we're one part of that collaboration. We bring together this partnership. It's education, it's local authority, it's an external, at its best, adult-supported employment provider. It's a local authority, it's a host business, and it's the Department for Work and Pensions. We make sure that we are business focused. We aren't asking business to flex around education, we're asking education to flex around business. This is about training these young adults so they go on to secure these career jobs. We, as DFN Project SEARCH, and all the partners that come on board, we all commit to continuous improvement. Nobody's getting this right yet. We have to all be engaging in wanting to be better all the time and learning from our data. And that we know, and this has to be, that while these young adults are on this program, it's about that acquisition of competitive skills. They are going to get great jobs at the end. So here's what it looks like in a real nutshell. We have a host business. It's a 1-year program of study, 1 academic year. It is for students in their last year of education. That is different according to who they are. There is no defined. In the UK, you can be funded to 24 for education. This has got to be in their last year, whatever is right for them. We typically look to place between 8 and 12 young adults on each of our DFN Project SEARCH sites. We do that. We've done loads of data analysis about what does it mean, a smaller number or a bigger number. Bigger number, all of our data says the larger the number, the more likely they are to get full-time paid jobs. But we also know that that changes cultures. When you put one person with a learning disability within a host employer, everybody pats themselves on the back. They feel like they've done a really good job. Cultures don't change. Environments don't change. They really do when you put 12 young adults. We try and say to our partners, a real variety of learning disabilities and autism spectrum conditions. There is a richness and a really wonderful thing about bringing loads of different talent pool together within one setting. Our interns do 3 rotations across the academic year, across different departments, across that business. We don't decide those, that's based on their vocational profile. But we know that 3 skill building rotations, typically 12 weeks each, that's really where the recipe for success is. We, with our partners, make sure that we put a trained job coach or 2 trained job coaches and a tutor on site all day, every day. We de-risk this for the business, we train people, we give them the right level of support, and the outcome is paid employment. And that's kind of what it looks like as a visual. Young person in the middle, host business, all of that infrastructure, and the whole idea, that infrastructure of support, education, local authority, supported employment, that's that ecosystem of support. This isn't just a project that happens once. This happens year on year on year. We've got actually people in the room who've been working with us for 12 years, 13 years. They have a cohort every year. It brings an incredible richness to their organization. They get access to this incredible talent pool. Why do we do this? In the UK, right now, if you have a learning disability or an autism spectrum condition, that means you have an education, health and care plan. So you are known to adult services, 5.1% of that population are in jobs. 95% will never get a job. Yet, we've got over 1 million young children and adults in our education system who are on SEND support. They're getting support for having a special need. We've got 1.5 million people in the UK with a learning disability. About 900,000 of those are of working age. Right now, we've got 350,000 children and young adults with education, health and care plans in schools. That 5.1 statistic says that just under 18,000 will get jobs out of 350,000. My job before I did this, I was a head teacher of a special school. When I asked the students in my special school, every single incredibly talented young adult, what is it you want when you leave school? I want a job. I want a family. I want a home. And I said to my staff, okay, well, let's visualize that. Out of my school, 11 statistically were going to do that. Was anybody comfortable with that? Totally and utterly not. MENCAP in the UK did a survey. They say that 65% of people with a learning disability surveyed said that they would like a job. 5.1% will. I'd argue with anybody it's more than 65%. Because of the pandemic, maybe, we have 1.4 million unfilled vacancies in the UK. We've got this incredible talent pool of people that want to work. We've got all the jobs in the world needing people, yet we don't seem to be able to marry that up. The Public Health England did some investigation about what makes for a happy, healthy and prosperous adulthood. Number 1, a safe and secure job. 5.1% are going to get to that number 1 measure. How can that be possible? So we got to come together. We only count employment as a positive outcome for our program, and actually Bernard covered loads of this, so I won't spend too long, but why do we only focus on? Yes, we want people to have a fabulous year, but if they don't end with a job, they never ever will. Number 1, absolutely what it brings is transformational. It makes people financially secure. That buys you choice and independence, and it buys you a life, but we know what it does is it improves your health and your well-being. We know from an education perspective that saves a lot of money. If we were predicting that people were going to stay in education to 24, yet we can transition them into employment early, actually we reckon in the UK that saves about £14,000 a year per learner. What we also know from a Department for Work and Pensions perspective, the earlier we train people for job, jobs, the more likely they are to stay in them their whole adult life. So going in there early and really focusing our education system on this is a smart move. We know it saves a lot of money to health, and we touched on this a little bit in the previous presentation. It's very unusual for work to be bad for your health. People who are at work have better physical health, better medical health, they take less medication, they are happier and healthier. But 5.1% get that chance at this moment in time. What we know, and we had an external evaluation done of DFN Project SEARCH looking at the social return on investment. What came out of that is that for every £1 that we invest in young adults experiencing and engaging in DFN Project SEARCH, the social return on investment was £3.96. What we also know from a UK economy perspective, if we could close the employment gap by 5% between those that have a disability and those that don't, we reckon that GDP would improve by 23 billion by 2030. So here's what happens with DFN Project SEARCH, and just remembering those numbers, 630 on program right now. 70% of our interns every single year transition into employment. But going back to the critical success factors, 60% go on to get full-time paid jobs in an integrated setting, paid the prevailing wage in a non-seasonal contract. We know that 99% of those are paid at least the prevailing wage. And then we went into a pandemic. Our program is all about putting young adults in that fully immersive workplace, and then the workplace shut down. But what I will tell you is the commitment from our partners was overwhelming. I negotiated with the government, a team of us negotiated with the government to say, please fund again. Let our interns do this again when we're not in a global pandemic. Government, DWP said, yeah, okay, we will. A ton of our interns said, no way, I'm doing it now. Or they were going to age out of education. 371 of these young adults got jobs in that time when literally everything was shut. The government was saying, stay home, stay safe. Our young adults said, no way, I'm out there. 297 got full-time paid jobs. They were paid an amazing wage. The average hours was 26 hours a week. And I have reflected on this so many times with my team. Could I have done that at that age, that transition to employment age? No, I just do not feel like I could. We always look at, well, where did people get their jobs? If I was presenting this pre-pandemic, the year before the pandemic, the greater proportion of our interns got their jobs in office and business admin, which I loved anyway, because that bust a ton of myths. This 2 years of COVID-19 data, the greater proportion of these young adults got their jobs in healthcare. Where did we as a society need people more than we have ever needed them before? In healthcare. They were frontline key workers. We have never ever used that language to describe people with a learning disability, and I am never going to let it go. We couldn't have been without them. They are key workers and they continue to be key workers. But by the way, that didn't happen by accident. That absolutely happened by design. We've got 500 stakeholders working on DFN Project SEARCH, all those incredible tutors and job coaches on sites. They are tenacious. They worked out where the jobs are going to be, and they train these young adults to make sure they had that opportunity to thrive, and they did. What I want to show, and I'm going to show you a different slide in a minute, what that also shows me is that we have really good job development, right? Nobody was pigeonholed. We are looking at those career jobs. Where do their skill sets lie? Just an example. And this is a good example. I could give you millions over the global pandemic. This young man, North Devon District Hospital, a load of the departments had to say in the pandemic, we can't have interns. We are so sorry, but, you know, COVID is taking over. So that team, they did loads of marketing across the hospital. We got new departments. This young man, he started working being a runner of samples. He then got a job full-time. And one of his jobs was the samples for COVID. Couldn't be more frontline, just incredible. We always take data on primary and secondary diagnosis. What we're always testing out is, do we have any minority groups within this minority group that we're working to serve? Typically, 2/3 of our learners, their primary diagnosis is a learning disability, a third is an autism spectrum condition, and almost always the mirror image of that is a secondary diagnosis looks like that. What we know, irrespective of their primary or secondary diagnosis, our interns have an equal chance of success in terms of they earn similar wages, they get similar hours, and they have this sort of array of sectors. There's nothing pigeonhole. When we looked at our learners who are from ethnic minority groups, 13% of the UK, the population are people from an ethnic minority group. For DFN Project SEARCH, it's 24%. We're really proud of that. We're making sure we're getting to those that need it the most. All large ethnic minority groups were well represented. Our interns over the last 4 years from ethnic minority groups have either earned the same as white European interns or slightly more, which is absolutely as it should be, but we have an ethnicity pay gap in the UK of 6.1% in favour of white Europeans, not so on DFN Project SEARCH. Females. We know that we have a gender pay gap in the UK. In the UK, 28% of education, health and care plans are awarded to females, but it is also worth knowing that out of that 28%, if you are a female with an education, health and care plan, in the UK you are twice as likely to have profound or multiple learning disabilities. The far greater proportion go to males. 31% of our interns are female, so we over-recruit from that population. For the last couple of years, our females have earned the same as our males, and that is in 15% pay gap for the UK, not so on DFN Project SEARCH. What we did find, and we really do analyse our data to make sure we're not just saying everything's brilliant, what we do know is that typically our female interns get lower hours than our males. We really shone a light on that last time we reported, and for the first time ever this year, they got the same hours. Now, I can't tell you now that that's because of this big push. I will know that in a couple of years when I can report maybe 3 years' worth of data. But it's so important that we shine a light on this. Here we go is wages by gender. What you'll see for the last 3 years is that the gap between females and males is not statistically significant. Therefore, our males and females are earning a similar wage. That is so important to us. And then I'm going the other way, I'm sorry. You're going to see then that hours have increased year on year. So you can see that for that cohort that I'm reporting on now, we always take our data 9 months after our interns complete because we want to know, did they get their jobs, did they stay in their jobs? What you'll see from this group, so they completed in June 2021, is that we've got sort of 26, 27 hours per week. What we find, and our longitudinal data tells us that those go up because we've got that infrastructure of support, that long-term infrastructure of support. A good example in the COVID-19, and I talked about non-seasonal contracts. Will, he got a job that was 14 weeks. Right? We're in this problem at the moment where everybody's getting temporary contracts. Not good enough, right? So that team stuck with him. They supported him. He ended the reporting season with a full-time job in a warehouse operative, exactly where he wanted to get a job. Orange bars here are the wages for our interns. Purple is the minimum wage for their age group. What you will see is that all of our interns earn more than the minimum wage. And the good thing to note, the greater proportion of our graduates are between 18 and 22. So you can see they earn significantly more than the minimum wage. Why? Because they do a flipping brilliant job. They are the right people for the right jobs at the right time, and they earn the right wage because they are adding such a lot of value to their employers. This is interesting, and later on I'm doing a breakout session where I'm going to delve into this a lot more. If you look at the age that our interns graduate and their conversion rate to jobs, you'll see those 18, 19, 20s, they got a really good conversion rate to job, yet somehow in the UK we hold on to people in education. There is an argument, I would say, to say the longer you're in education, perhaps the more you de-skill. Maybe there is a sweet spot, and maybe we need to do better in our education system at preparing people so those 19-year-olds can go for it. If that's the time they want to go, 78% into full-time paid jobs is phenomenal, and that's a big number as well. I'm showing this really briefly, not because it's big and it's crowded, but what I want to show you, this is the last 5 years. Where did people get their jobs? People have transitioned into 230 organizations across a whole load of sectors, different sectors, customer-facing, back office, clerical, more physical jobs. This is good job development. We teach all of our partners around the difference between job coaching and job development, and we're very proud of that. You can see here 28% of our interns in this academic year got their jobs within their host businesses. Most got their jobs. They are competitive on the open jobs market. We do a stakeholder survey. We want to make sure, are we meeting the needs of our stakeholders? And really why I'm showing you this is because I'm telling you there's an appetite for this partnership work. In 2020, our Net Promoter Score was 66. In 2021, it went to 72. That's world class. But that is because people want to engage. They want, and I just think there's a whole room full of people who are doing just this, that, people are ready for this. We're growing in a global pandemic. We have grown by 60%. Again, there is an appetite. And I'll just finish by saying that in the middle of the pandemic, I extracted out all of our data for our partnerships with National Health Service, with hospitals across the country. And I played it back to NHS England. And I think they didn't realise the extent that they are, the influence that they're having. Therefore, in the middle of the pandemic, we were commissioned by the NHS to start 42 new DFN Project SEARCH sites in the middle of a pandemic. 500 more young adults get that opportunity. Why? It's so smart from the NHS. They're either going to become patients too early, or they're going to contribute and become part of their workforce. We're part of the workforce development plan for the NHS, and we're very, very proud of it. Our young adults add such value to that sector. Here is a scan me if you want to take your phone out. All it will do is take you to our annual report, and it just gives you a deeper dive into what we do. But thank you so much, everybody. You want to ask me?